This is Umar for BoxNation. We're at a Matchroom lunch to unveil Mr. Pat Brown. We're going to come on to that. But so I heard some interesting stories here at 20 Stories today, Manchester. I won't go into
Well,
them.
they were obviously between us, Umar.
Of
Do you know what I
course. Definitely not going to go into that. But in terms of Pat Brown, I'm sure this is going to be an incredible story with him. Very confident man. I think Manchester needs someone to take that reign that, Hatton left, Crawler left. And you believe this is the guy to do it, Eddie?
Yeah, not just for Manchester, but for British boxing. I mean, I get asked all the time, who's the next star of British boxing? Who should I be looking out for? And we've got so many great fighters, a lot of them fighting in Birmingham on Saturday. But, who's the one that's going to make the noise? Who's the one that's going to light up the arena? Who's the one that's going to sell out the arena? Who's the one that's going to have the city behind him where we can go on a big run to world championships? And we've selected Pat Brown as that guy. We know about his talent. He's a Team GB standout. He's an Olympian. But beyond that, he's very, very exciting. He's heavy-handed. He loves to fight. He's got massive support in the city. He's a man of the people in Manchester. And he's got the pedigree to go on and do things in the sport. And, we won a tough race to sign him. People throwing their houses, literally, at Pat Brown to try and get him. It's a very competitive market at the moment. And this is a big signing for Matchroom, one which we've really got to make the most of.
How are you going to do this with Pat? Is it a case of just stick him on every Manchester bill? Or are you going to take him around the country? How do you want to do it?
No, I mean, he will debut in Manchester in March. He'll fill his own arena for that debut. But then we want him on all the big shows over the UK and also around the world. I mean, one of the benefits that we have when we're talking to young fighters is our global profile of shows. I can box Pat Brown in America, I can box him in Mexico, I can box him in Australia, I can box him in the Middle East, and that's all part of the experience. Obviously, he's done that as an amateur, but that's what we got to do as a pro to build his global profile. And when you build the profile of a fighter, you don't do it when they're 15-0. You do it from the professional debut, and that extends to the announcement when we signed him, the teases. You get a lot of people on Twitter. Oh, well, you made a big fuss of that. I thought it was going to be Tyson Fury. It's like, no, we made a big fuss because this is how important this kid is, and you'll see it. So you've got to get people on board for the journey, and it'll be a fun one. You'll love Pat Brown.
That piece you guys did, Matchroom, with him outside Old Trafford. I mean, we haven't had a fight there since Eubank Ben.
Yeah.
Is that the ambition, to take him to Old Trafford?
I mean, that's, I just feel that when you sign a fighter with Pat's pedigree, from the Olympics, from the podium squad, anything other than world level fights is a disappointment. Like if Pat just went and won a British cruiserweight title, I mean, look at Chev. Chev was in the Tokyo Olympics, right? He's won a British title inside 10 fights. He's fighting for the European title, and he's not even really touched the surface yet. Chev should become world champion. If he doesn't, I'll say we haven't done our job, but it's an underperformance, and that's the same for Pat. So when you start talking about Old Trafford and that kind of stuff, yeah, that's for the big nights and the big unification fights in the cruiserweight division. But until then, you've got arenas that he's going to be selling out. You've got the Co-op Arena, which we went to recently, fantastic. You've got Manchester Arena. He's capable of filling those venues for British title fights. And that's what we'll do over the next 2 or 3 years.
I know it's really important to you as well because you said it on your social media. I keep getting asked, when's the next big British boxing star, etc. And let's be honest, since Fury and Joshua have come into the back end of their careers, we have been missing that. That era where we had Carl Froch, George Groves, Khan, Brooke, Hay. Like we were so blessed. But
Groves.
We've missed that period.
Yeah, we have. And, boxing's changed a little bit because a lot of it's diverted to the heavyweight division with AJ and Fury. But I actually think right now our stable is sensational globally for the young kids coming through. I mean, you look on Saturday night in Birmingham, Hamza Uddin, future world champion, star. Cameron Vong, massive step-up star. Taylor Bevan, making his professional debut, GB podium squad, Commonwealth Games medalist. There's so many great young fighters on that card and so many great fighters fighting week to week. We've got to just make sure that we get behind them and we build their profile, and the fan and the public can understand the story and become invested in the journey, because that's how you build stars. We've got stars, we've got talent, but how do you engage with the audience to make sure that they actually get the following, get the viewership? And that's where great promotion comes in. And that's what we're doing with Pat. When you've got a product like Pat Brown, you've chatted to him, he's a great talker. He loves a tear up. He's a man of the people. He's worked on the building sites in Manchester. You know, he's down Moss Side ABC. He's over Old Trafford. Everyone knows him in this city. So you've got a great head start, but we still got to do it right.
Would you say, in terms of building a star with coverage, the digital age that we live in now, it's changed much since you were at Sky, for example, like 7 or 8 years ago? Like, has your strategy changed or not?
Not really. I mean, you know, probably the difference, the viewership on DAZN compared to Sky now is not actually that much different. If you look at DAZN viewing figures and recent shows, the digital advantage that Sky have, particularly with Sky Sports News, you know, is impressive. But to be honest with you, DAZN's YouTube channel, DAZN's social, I mean, you guys know, huge. So I think, you know, the way that we converse and interact with the audience has probably changed a little bit because it has become digital and socially led. But, you know, we're doing a great job. Box is in a great place, but we've got to keep building stars. And that's why when you sign someone like Pat, not only do you make a major financial investment, but you invest your time and you invest your people within the business to push him forward.
Talking about stars, did you watch the Four Kings documentary on Amazon?
No, I haven't seen it.
Obviously, I wasn't alive. Well, I was very young at the time, late 90s, obviously early 90s as well. I couldn't believe how big the likes of Frank Bruno, Eubank, Ben, Lewis. I mean, you grew up as a teen in that era?
Yeah, I mean, my dad promoted Frank Bruno's fights. My dad promoted Lennox Lewis fights. My dad promoted Chris Eubank for most of his career. My dad promoted Nigel Benn fights. I mean, I knew them all. You know, Bruno would train in the Matchroom gym. Eubank, you know, was a big part of our family. My dad was best man at his wedding.
But they describe Frank Bruno as the same fame as the Prime Minister. Like, would you say it was that?
I mean, I don't think, you know, who was more popular, Bruno or AJ, for example. I mean, both huge national stars, really. Just different times. You know, sometimes you'd fight on ITV and you'd rack in an audience of 10, 12, 15 million, or fight on the BBC. Obviously, the audiences has changed now, and the way that the viewer is consuming content has changed also into a digital era. So, yeah, it's probably sometimes harder to build, say, a star, but a sport. You're seeing that in all sports now, you know. But those guys, obviously, 4 superstars of the sport. I think sometimes you don't really see it or appreciate it till it's gone. Do you know what I'm saying? Those guys retire, and then all of a sudden people are saying, wow, and obviously you've got Calzaghe, you've got Naz. And I think when AJ retires and Fury retires, you know, maybe Dubois goes on to do so, I think you'll talk about those kind of guys in the same breath.
Hear you. Well, you've got a great fight this Saturday night. Fight week begins on Wednesday. And I do feel like it's going under the radar a little bit. Maybe that'll pick up as we get the presser and the needle comes in with the two families. But Edwards Yefai, it's very hard to call that fight.
Very tough. I mean, we sat there, didn't we? I mean, how many people are here today? I don't know, 20, 30. And it's like no one can really call that fight. Everyone knows how good the fight is. You know, is it the experience of Sonny Edwards? Is it the work rate and the ability and the power of Galal Yefai? It's a great crossroads fight. Obviously, it's got the narrative of the bloodline and the family rivalry as well, which goes back over a decade as well. Really good fight, really good card. We're going to have a big crowd in Birmingham on Saturday, the biggest since Amir Khan was there. And I think, you know, we should have over or around 7,000, which is a great crowd for Birmingham. It's a huge card with loads of talent, and that's a brilliant main event. The kind of events that we want to see moving forward in 2025.
Definitely. I was just going to say that there is nothing like 2 world-class guys from Britain getting it on in a main event. And I haven't actually spoke to you since Queensbury announced their deal with DAZN, which starts in April 2025. And we know you guys are working together. We saw Shabazz Massoud, your guy, have a brilliant win on TNT a few weeks ago. So that was all
No one really mentions that, Umar, so thank you. The wins that we get. You know, it's only when we get beat again. You know, it's like...
Was it singular
or
like,
Matchroom won? Yeah, Matchroom won. You know, we had back-to-back wins, Sky Nicholson and Shabazz Massoud, and it was like, Matchroom won, don't say nothing. And then we have to wait for the next loss till we get hammered again. But great performance from Shabazz, and you know, I'll let you finish your question on DAZN. But for us, amazing news. Amazing news.
Yeah, amazing news, because now you and Frank have got even more incentive to make those great cross-promotional fights because you're working for the same people in DAZN.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of different layers to it. Number one is the schedule. So obviously we'll never clash again. Matchroom and Queensbury, which is a plus for fans anyway. But also, moving forward, the concepts that we've put together, especially the 5v5. I mean, you've got our fighters fighting their fighters, standard, right? You're going to see more of that. You've got the 5v5, which is obviously another concept that we want to continue to work on. And then you've got other ideas. We'll have a meeting with Queensbury coming up with DAZN where we'll just brainstorm. How do we change boxing? How do we create the best v the best? That kind of interstable rivalry that's going to be compelling for a fight fan. You saw it in the 5v5. And every time we make fights together, whether it's, Shabazz against Liam Davis, Nicholson, Chapman, whatever it's going to be, they're all going to be competitive fights. And that's what we want. We want to make competitive fights. And I think their move to DAZN it's incredible for DAZN. I mean, I still laugh at people mocking DAZN over the years. Now every promoter in the sport wants to be on the platform.
Well, it's the only broadcaster really pushing boxing, isn't it?
Yeah, and also it's the only global platform for boxing, and that's why we made the move, 4 years ago. It was a major move at the time. It was a big risk, and it's really paying off.
We've talked about the upsides. Is there any downsides to Queensbury joining DAZN for yourself and Matchroom or not?
No, I don't see any.
In terms of scheduling, getting dates off DAZN?
No, I mean, I think that, we will go to DAZN, they will go. I mean, DAZN have had multiple promoters for a long time. And you got to understand, I need DAZN's viewership to be as big as possible. Right? I need them to have as many subscribers as possible. So the more content they have on, the easier it is for us to drive subscribers, and the more value DAZN are providing for subscribers. So now, if you're a UK fight fan, you've got Eddie Hearn and Matchroom, Frank Warren and Queensbury on DAZN. You can't not have it. So it's great for us because you're going to see viewership continue to rise on DAZN. They have every big fight in boxing, and it's a fantastic product. And I don't see any downside at all. I mean, I guess if we weren't all amicable, would it have even happened? I don't know. Maybe. But it wouldn't probably have the same kind of impact that it could have now, because me and George are talking all the time about fights. The only problem before was it's okay when it's on a pay-per-view across all the platforms, but like normally, sending Shabazz to fight headline on BT or TNT, don't really want to do it because he's one of your fighters. But we did it, we won. But now we're all on the same platform. I will say to George, right, here are our fighters, here are your fights. What fights do you want to make? All right, well, you do that one, we'll do that one there. You can headline that one, we'll headline that one. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Can you give me a fight, Matchroom v Queensbury, that hasn't been made that you'd like to do?
So many. I mean...
Try and give me one.
Ryan Garner against Zelfa Barrett. Joe Cordina against Sam Noakes.
Is Joe still with you?
Pierce O'Leary against... Yeah. Conor Walker against Echo Eskerman. Great fight. Pierce O'Leary against Dalton Smith. I don't know. I mean, there are so many fights to
when
be
are you
made.
looking at the next 5v5 with Frank?
Sol Dakers or David Adelaide against Johnny Fisher. Right? I mean, there are 5v5s on all kinds of different levels. Do you know what I'm saying? So there's the Riyadh season 5v5, and then there's the real good British 5v5s. A lot of those fights that I just mentioned there. So we wanted to look at a 5v5 for February, but it will now be May. Now, whether that's in Riyadh or in London, we'll see where it goes.
Okay. Talking about 5v5s, Golden Boy, if we did Cattrall v Barboza, which has been ordered, by the way, how does that end?
Well, we don't lose a fight to Golden Boy. I mean, that's why they won't put Zepeda in with Shakur Stevenson.
He's injured, though.
Yeah, but they don't want the fight, Umar. I hate this, I'm not sure we can win that fight, so we won't take it mentality. Make the fight. I don't think they'll put Zerdo in with Opetaya, because they know. Now, Cattrall Barboza, maybe they might fancy their chances. And Barboza's not one of the bigger marquee guys.
Boots Ortiz.
Yeah, we're up for that fight. I think that's a great fight. Boots against Garcia. Beck against Pacheco. Loads of other fights.
Have they still got Munguia?
No, Munguia's left Golden Boys with Top Rank. So
Oscar thinks otherwise.
Well, he's fought on Top Rank ESPN twice with no Golden Boy there, no branding, nothing. So someone's telling Porkies.
Last one on Talksport, your mate Simon Jordan said that he believed the strategy from Joshua was strange in not taking the rematch with Dubois in February.
Not ready. I mean, what is strange about needing to be 100% to rematch Daniel Dubois? If you have some niggles and you have some injuries and you can't start camp, how can you possibly fight on February 22nd? People say to me, oh yeah, Joshua, his next fight won't be against Dubois. Not true. There's every chance that AJ's next fight will be against Daniel Dubois. It just won't be February 22nd. And when people say, oh, he's missed the boat, is this? Come on, stop the bullshit. What's the biggest fight out there for Daniel Dubois? The AJ rematch. That's it. So if he beats Joseph Parker, if that fight gets made, we may fight Daniel Dubois in the summer.
Won't you have a mandatory?
No, but things get sorted out. Ultimately, I think the fight is Tyson Fury. In an ideal world, Tyson Fury beats Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury fights Anthony Joshua for the unified world heavyweight title. If Fury loses, we still do the fight. Do you know how many people have come up to me and say, when are you going to do AJ against Fury? I go, well, AJ just lost actually and Fury's rematching Usyk. Yeah, we don't care about that. When you're going to fight each other? We don't realise the bigger picture because sometimes we live in a bit of a boxing bubble. That fight, win, lose or draw, is huge.
Eddie, if Fury wins and beats Usyk and becomes the premier heavyweight again in the world, would you not want Joshua to have a fight before that rather than going straight from a loss to Dubois?
Why? Listen, we know it's the closing chapter, right? Now, is that 2 fights? Is that 3 fights? Is that 5 fights? We don't need a warm-up.
So you're saying after getting knocked out by Dubois, you go straight into Fury fight?
Straight into Fury.
Wow.
Straight in. And we fancy our chances in that fight. But AJ, as always, is ready. He's ready to gamble. And it'll be, in my opinion, against Dubois or Tyson Fury.
Tyson said that he will do the trilogy if he beats Usyk.
We'll see. If he beats Usyk, the demand for AJ against Fury will be deafening.
Even if he loses?
Yeah, same.
Last one. Hearn had a giveaway yesterday. If you do, the whole comments and share thing, you get 1 3-year supply.
Yeah.
So I messaged them and said, look, why don't we do something with Matchroom? We've had the things before where they've collaborated with our post where you've bigged Hearn up for free, by the way.
I know.
Just add that in. You're dressed in Hearn right now. I'm dressed in Hearn. They want to do some stuff with some fighters as well. I suggested maybe Johnny Fisher to get him in a bit of Hearn. Can they come down to a weigh-in and do something?
Firstly, I love the way that you're approaching brands on behalf of Matchroom, Umar. So thanks for that. Look, I wear a lot of different designers, right? And I spend a lot of money on clothes. I love wearing Hearn. I don't get paid by Hearn. Like, they send me clothes and I wear it non-stop. I love the quality. I love the style. And at my ripe old age of 45, I like just looking cool and being comfortable. And that is how I feel in Hearn.
Can we get Matty Lawless some Hearn?
Matty Lawless. He's very smart, Matty Lawless. So anyway, bring him down to the weigh-in. I'll speak to the boys. They're doing a great job. And cheers to the boys at Hearn.
Eddie, thank you very much.
Cheers, mate.